Heartwarming moment, Black CEO reveals his incredible journey after being blocked at his own gate. DeMarcus stood at the shimmering gates of success, an ambitious CEO of an innovative tech company, and yet, he found himself confronted by a disapproving glare. "You don't belong here," the resident sneered, arms folded, a wall standing between him and the life he had worked so hard to build. This wasn't just a gate, it was a symbol of hope crushed under the weight of prejudice. His heart raced, humiliation mingling with anger. How could someone see him, a man dedicated to lifting his family from the shadows of South Atlanta, as anything less than deserving? This moment tore through him like a knife, and he felt the tightness in his chest as memories flickered. Restless nights after long shifts, studying late to better himself, words of encouragement from his mother echoing in his mind. Mia. His precious little girl who inspired him to fight. He took a deep breath, fighting back tears, feeling that familiar lump in his throat. All he wanted was a better life for her. The dream he clung to seemed so fragile now, as if it could shatter into 1,000 pieces with one hateful utterance. Later that night, as DeMarcus tucked Mia into bed, her sleepy eyes blinked open. "Daddy, are you okay?" she whispered, concern etched on her innocent face. He smiled softly, brushing her hair away from her forehead. "Yeah, sweetie. Just had a tough day." The gentle squeeze of her hand ignited a spark of determination in him. Together, they hatched a plan for a community barbecue. It would be more than just hot dogs and lemonade, it would be a bridge to understanding. The day of the cookout, DeMarcus flipped burgers, the grill sizzling, laughter bubbling all around him. Neighbors began to emerge, drawn by the delicious aroma. Yet, with each exchange, he felt the weight of unspoken barriers. The tension in the air was palpable, misunderstanding simmering just beneath the surface. At one point, a conversation turned sour, accusations flying. The man who had blocked him earlier was in the crowd, his face twisted in disdain. DeMarcus felt anger rise in him. "We're all here, aren't we? We all bleed the same." Before they could spiral too far into chaos, a familiar voice cut through the tension. "Hey! Let us not lose sight of why we're here." Stepped in Marcus, an old friend from their rough neighborhood who had now become a respected leader. His words brought the group back, a reminder of shared history. He validated DeMarcus's journey. "Your character knows no bounds, brother." As the laughter waned and hopeful conversations unfolded, DeMarcus felt the cracks of tension begin to mend, if only slightly. But in the shadows loomed the lingering questions: could he really change minds? Could they find a way to rewrite narratives that had long been accepted? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the conversations grew deeper, mostly about understanding, equality, and the relentless pursuit of justice. DeMarcus stood at the heart of it all, filled with hope yet burdened by the uncertainty of tomorrow. Could this moment of unity withstand the harshness of reality? He felt it in his gut. Change was possible, but complicated. Leaving the cookout, he glanced back at his neighbors, uncertainty still lingering. This was only the beginning, and he was ready to fight for that shared future no matter how tough it would be. The next day, DeMarcus awoke to sunlight streaming through the window, illuminating the remnants of yesterday's community gathering. The hope sparked at the barbecue clung to him, but so did the nagging fear that it could all unravel before it truly began. He breathed deeply, reminding himself of Mia's laughter, her bright smile. He had to keep pushing forward. At work, the vibrancy of the tech world hummed around him. His team was passionate, driven. They shared ideas that sparked innovation. But there was tension hanging in the air, a buzz that hinted at something deeper. During the morning meeting, DeMarcus noticed Michael, the lead engineer, who had always been enthusiastic, now wore a frown. He hesitated to speak, the words caught in his throat. "Michael, is everything all right?" DeMarcus asked, concern lining his voice. The room went silent. All eyes turned to Michael, who shifted uncomfortably. He started, then faltered. "I don't know if it's relevant, but some people in the community are still uneasy about you. They think you're just a front for investors, that you don't really care." DeMarcus's heart sank, a sharp jab of reality piercing through his optimism. It felt unfair after the progress he had felt at the barbecue. "I care deeply," he insisted, "about my community, my family. I thought we were making steps forward." Silence hung like heavy fog. Misunderstandings. Fear. It was all too familiar, too common. He felt an urge to fight back, to defend his journey, but he knew better. He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Then let us change that perception together. I want to show everyone that I'm all in this for us." As their meeting wrapped up, he saw Michael's guards lower just a notch, a flicker of hope igniting. Feeling the weight of responsibility settle on him, DeMarcus afterward sought out Marcus. They met up at a small cafe, the aroma of fresh coffee weaving through the air. "I need your help," DeMarcus said, his voice earnest. "People still doubt me, and I can't keep fighting alone." "Together, we can show them," Marcus replied, enthusiasm filling his tone. "Let us host an open forum in the park. Ask questions, share stories. We won't just bridge gaps, we'll build an entire community." As they brainstormed ideas, DeMarcus felt a swell of determination. This could be another step in the right direction, a chance to dismantle the barriers still standing. Days passed, and excitement surged as flyers for the event circulated. The park would be alive with voices, willing to share and listen. DeMarcus could envision families gathering, laughter mingling with the rustle of leaves. He imagined facing those who carried doubts, opening a dialogue, humanizing the challenges they all faced. Yet, as he prepared for the event, dread slithered into his mind. What if it all fell apart? What if they couldn't bridge the divides he so desperately wanted to heal? He found moments of reflection, the gaze of his little girl driving him onward. She needed to see him fight, to witness his determination. Finally, the day arrived. The sun glinted, casting warm light over the park filled with tables and chairs. DeMarcus paced, waiting for people to arrive, heart pounding like a drum. Would the community show up? Would they engage in the conversation? Then, just as people began to gather, he noticed a familiar silhouette emerging from the shadows, the very man who had blocked him at the gate, his demeanor impervious but curious. DeMarcus's pulse quickened. What would happen now? Would this be the moment of truth, or would it lead to more division? One breath. One step toward resolving the questions that haunted him. DeMarcus was ready, but was the community prepared for the journey? DeMarcus stood at the front of the park, the sunlight dancing across the grass, while the air buzzed with expectation. The laughter and chatter of families filled the void he had felt just moments earlier. As the curious figures moved closer, he tried to read their expressions. Some were wary, others intrigued. He caught Michael's eye, who stood at the edge of the crowd, a flicker of support visible in his gaze. That small spark sent a wave of warmth through DeMarcus. Taking a deep breath, he felt the weight of the moment wash over him. This wasn't just a forum, it was a chance to rewrite the narrative of his place in the community. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice steady but soft, cutting through the gentle din. "Today is about us. I want to hear your thoughts, your feelings, and your doubts." A rustle of movement surged through the crowd. Some nodded in understanding, but others remained distant, folded arms shielding them from openness. That familiar silhouette was now closer, a reminder of the perception he fought so hard to shift. The man's eyes were analyzing, lips set in a thin line, and it was like standing against a brick wall. Let us start by breaking down those walls, DeMarcus continued, his heart racing. The ambient laughter seemed to fade amidst the uncertainty. I know the trust hasn't been easy. Many of you have seen enough broken promises. A murmur went through the crowd, and he pressed on. I understand why you might think I'm just another investor looking to profit. But I assure you, every decision I make is centered around making things better here. He felt the gravity of every word, wishing he could show them through action instead of just speech. The man from the shadows finally stepped forward, his face taut but resolute. How can we trust you? What makes you different from others who promised change before but delivered nothing? The challenge hung in the air like weight at the bottom of his stomach. DeMarcus thought of Mia, how her innocent spirit needed this community to thrive. Because I am one of you, he responded, voice rising slightly. I grew up here. This is my home, my family is here. I want to let the past dictate our future. More eyes began to sharpen, listening with newfound curiosity. DeMarcus continued, sharing stories of his childhood, the struggles he faced, and the grit he nurtured to break through adversity. He spoke of sleepless nights and the unwavering support of his community that never once let him forget who he was. Vulnerability carved a path through hesitation. As DeMarcus exchanged glances, laughter bubbled up into the air once again, lifting some of the lingering tension. People began to nod, sparked by the truth in his words. He sensed connections forming in that moment. Murmurs filled the park, encouraging him to press on. I want to work together on solutions. What can we do? How can I help refocus this community's power? Let us discuss our fears so that we can dispel them. Encouraged by the momentum, hands began to rise amidst the crowd. Questions poured forth, genuine and raw. People wanted answers, and DeMarcus felt that weight transform into purpose. As the dialogue blossomed, he noticed the man from the gate shrinking back, the tension in his frame slowly subsiding. That wall he represented was beginning to soften, little by little. Just then, the sound of laughter erupted nearby, and he caught sight of Mia playing with other children, her joy reflecting like sunshine splattered across the canvas of their gathering. Was this what it meant to finally bridge the gap? Was understanding on the horizon, or could it just be a momentary spark? DeMarcus felt his heart swell as the community began to engage, but just then, the shadows loomed again. Unforeseen tension thickened in the air. What if his sincerity couldn't combat the deeper fears woven through their history? What if past disappointments eclipsed this moment? Doubt flickered at the edges of hope, and DeMarcus faced the crowd again, heart racing. Here we are, willing to share and build. A choice lies before us. Will we create a future together or fall back into silence? His words hovered, a challenge, a question that might shape everything to come. Were they ready to take that step into the light? Would it be the unraveling of division or the birth of something beautiful? The crowd held its breath, caught in limbo between hope and hesitation. DeMarcus felt the weight of countless eyes, each one wrestling with expectation and uncertainty. After a moment of stillness, a voice broke through. We're tired of waiting for change. It was a woman at the front, her tone sharp but layered with a depth of yearning. DeMarcus nodded, feeling the truth of her words. I hear you. And I'm here to listen. She pressed on, energy surging like a current. How do we know it won't just be more words? We've heard it all before. The honesty in her voice was palpable, resembling the desperation of a community that had spent too long in the shadows. Trust isn't given, it's built, he replied, his heart drumming in his chest. It's day by day, small action by smaller action. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work. But I need you with me. The murmurs shifted, some skeptical but others intrigued. He could see their contemplation, an unbending veneer of doubt starting to crack. Perhaps it was Mia's laughter still echoing nearby that sparkled in the background, a reminder of what was at stake. A man in a baseball cap stepped forward. What about the jobs you keep mentioning? We need more than just promises. We need jobs that allow us to support our families. His voice was tinged with longing, yet it contained a spark of hope too. I want to create opportunities, DeMarcus said, desperation wrapping around his words. Opportunities that will keep our children playing, laughing, not just in parks, but in classrooms, in careers. We need to rely on one another to ensure this community flourishes. There was a ripple of buzz in the crowd. Everyone shifted, moving closer as if drawn in by the gravity of their conversation. Hands shot up, and DeMarcus began to digest a flood of raised questions, each voice reminding him of the importance of this moment. What about education? How can we ensure every child has a chance? Voices harmonized in their hopes and concerns, weaving a tapestry of desperation and desire. I believe that access to quality education opens the door to a bright future, DeMarcus acknowledged, his heart swelling. I want to invest in our schools, partner with local educators, and most importantly, hear what you believe those needs are. There was a flicker of something in the air, an electric moment, almost tangible. The shadows that had obscured their trust were beginning to lift, letting light into spaces long hidden. But he sensed the residue of doubt still clinging to their hearts. Just then, Mia bounded through the gathered adults, her laughter punctuating the moment once more. She ran up to DeMarcus, her face flushed with joy. "Daddy, can we go get ice cream after this?" Her wide eyes sparkled with innocence and happiness that only children could bring. He knelt to her level, caressing the side of her face, a deep sense of purpose washing over him. "Not yet, baby. We're building something really special here. But I promise we'll get ice cream. This is for you, too." The crowd softened, an unexpected unity glimmering through the lingering doubts. But the uncertainty still simmered beneath the surface. One voice, louder now, broke the fragile bubble. "What happens when you leave? When the meetings quiet down and life returns to normal?" The words landed heavily, crisp in the warm air. DeMarcus felt vulnerability pierce through him. Could he guarantee change when the world moved on? But then he straightened his back, the resolve surging within him, despite the uncertainty. "I want to leave. I'm here for the long haul because this community is my home. So when life returns to normal, I want us to define what that looks like together." His words wrapped around the crowd, a binding force bolstered by the hope reflected in their expressions. But in the corner of his mind, questions danced like fireflies. Was he truly ready for what lay ahead? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting an orange hue across their gathering, DeMarcus felt the weight of the choice hanging in the air. Would they turn toward each other or retreat back into their corners? A surge of determination ignited within him. "So, what do you say? Shall we take the first step into that future together?" In that moment, the conversation felt monumental, but would it be enough to close the chasm forged by fear and disappointment? The air thickened with anticipation, and every heartbeat seemed to echo the looming question: would they take that step into the light, or would fear send them spiraling back into darkness? The silence that followed his question felt like forever, but then, someone clapped. It started slowly, a hesitant sound, but soon more joined in. The rhythmic applause grew until it enveloped them, a collective breath set free. DeMarcus caught Mia's eye, her little face lighting up among the sea of adults, her small hands mirroring the motion. "Together!" she shouted, the innocence in her voice breaking through the last remnants of doubt. It was the spark they needed. People started nodding, the hesitance dissolving into whispers of agreement. DeMarcus stood taller, feeling the energy pulsing around him. "Yes. Together!" he echoed, letting the positivity wash over him like a wave. He wasn't just speaking, he was witnessing a transformation the community's will to rise combined with his dreams, merging into something powerful. As he scanned the faces before him, he saw understanding, hope, determination. He saw connections forming. The tight knots of fear were loosening, revealing courage. He took a step forward, urging them to bring their thoughts to the forefront. "What's the first step?" A woman called out, her voice no longer laden with doubt but filled with eagerness. "Let us start with what we already have," DeMarcus proposed. "Community gardens can give us fresh food and unite us. We build playgrounds, libraries, and partnerships with local businesses." "I can help with the garden," shouted a teacher in the back. "We could involve the kids, teach them about food, responsibility, and hard work." "Yes." DeMarcus felt a smile stretch across his face. "And what about our schools? We could host workshops, summer programs. I know some educators who'd love to partner with us." The crowd began buzzing with ideas, voices efficiently weaving into a tapestry of hope. Each suggestion was buoyed by shared laughter. An old man shared his hopes for tech classes, a mother suggested a mentorship program that could connect the youth with local artists. Idea after idea rolled in. The darkness of previous defeats was no match for the surging energy of collaborative creation. As their vision unfolded, it struck DeMarcus how each person was not just contributing ideas but reclaiming their place in a shared story. They were no longer shadows, but vibrant colors adding to a mural of hope. Yet, as the excitement filled the air, a shadow flickered across the back of his mind, the questions that had lingered. Was this enthusiasm sufficient fuel for the challenges that lay ahead? Would they maintain this momentum when the hard work began? Just as he wrestled with thoughts, Mia pulled at his sleeve. "Daddy," she said, her small voice breaking through the crowd's chorus. He turned to her, noting the glow of delight in her eyes. "I want to help. Can I be part of it?" The vision she represented tugged at his heartstrings. This was for her and all children. They could become the architects of change alongside their parents. "Absolutely," he responded, kneeling beside her. "You can lead the way, my little leader." Mia's laughter rang out, restoring a rhythm of childlike joy even amongst the quest for profound systemic change. But moments later, a shadow crossed his path once more. A young man stood at the edge, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. "But how are we supposed to trust? We've been betrayed too many times. What makes this different?" The crowd quieted once more, tension rising like steam in a kettle, thickening the air. DeMarcus felt a pulse quicken in his chest. This was the real question. How could he assure them that their newfound spirit would not falter? As he searched for words, he felt the very foundation of his commitments pressing down on him. He recognized the weight of their past, and he felt that urgency rear its head. "I need to show you," he finally said, raw determination guiding his tone. "Let us start the moment we leave here. I'll show you I'm committed to you all, not just in words but in action, accountability, and listening." Murmurs rippled through the group again, but this time there was something deeper, more profound, a flicker of trust beginning to take form despite their fears. Yet, his heartbeat still echoed in his ears. Would this man's skepticism shatter the fragile hope building? "Let us meet again and set a date for our first project," DeMarcus suggested, the goal clear in his mind. "Is that enough to prove I'm in this with you?" As they began to discuss dates, DeMarcus felt that flicker of courage in his heart. But on the periphery of his mind, there remained a flicker of uncertainty. Would they really show up? The sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows as DeMarcus took a breath, ready for whatever was to come. But then came the inevitable question lingering in the depths of the crowd: what if their shared vision shimmered brightly only to be dimmed by unforeseen challenges? Was their faith strong enough to weather the storms ahead? The next meeting was set for a Friday evening, under the glow of a streetlight near the park where they hoped to build the community garden. DeMarcus arrived early, his heart a mix of anticipation and anxiety. He wanted to prove himself, to show that this was more than just another fleeting moment of enthusiasm. As the clock ticked closer to 6, small groups began to gather. Parents brought their kids in tow, and anyone who could bring a chair or blanket found a spot on the grass. Laughter and chatter filled the air as people exchanged greetings, an atmosphere of warmth wrapping around the gathering. "Look, it's Mia!" a little girl called out, waving excitedly. Mia beamed, her spirit infectious. Kids began to chase each other, their carefree joy counterbalancing the weight of the adults' worries. DeMarcus took a deep breath and stood up from where he had settled on the grass. "Hey everyone! I'm glad to see you all here." He raised his voice just a little more, pulling their attention. A murmur settled, and he continued, "Last time we talked, we had a lot of great ideas but also some doubts. That's okay. It's natural. We're all coming together to build something new, and it'll take time. But it starts with trust." He saw a few nods, but the same young man from before, arms crossed, appeared skeptical. "Trust is earned. How will you earn it?" he challenged, the doubt creeping back into the group's energy. DeMarcus swallowed hard, but something about the atmosphere, the twinkling lights, the laughter of children sparked a determination within him. "The only way to earn trust is through action. Let's talk about that garden we mentioned. What do you want to see in it?" He walked over to a large notepad on an easel nearby, filled with ideas from their last meeting. "Let's brainstorm together," DeMarcus encouraged. "What vegetables or flowers would you like to grow?" Hands shot up. "Tomatoes," one child shouted. "Carrots," another added. "I'd love to see some sunflowers," someone called from the back. As ideas flowed, he jotted them down, his heart warming with each suggestion. The chatter transformed into excited planning, and soon, they broke into smaller groups to discuss logistics: where to plant, what to use, who would help. "You have to promise, DeMarcus," a woman named Lily whispered, her voice barely heard over laughter. He leaned closer. "You have to promise that we can decide what happens here, not just you. We're all in this together." "I promise," he assured her, "this is yours. Your ideas, your decisions, your garden. I'm just here to help you find the way." Beyond the circle of discussion, Mia busily engaged the other kids, explaining her vision of a garden filled not just with plants but with joy and laughter. Her small voice carried with a confidence that spread like wildfire among the children. They rallied around her, eager to contribute. As twilight descended, the atmosphere shifted. The issues that loomed before were still there, shadowy figures in the background, but for that moment, laughter and connection broke through the uncertainty. Just as discussions reached a fever pitch with smiles and more ideas, DeMarcus felt a tap on his shoulder. It was the young man, still guarded. "I get that your heart's south in the right place. But let's be real," he began, hesitation in his tone. "What if it doesn't work? What if we fail?" DeMarcus paused, absorbing the weight of the question. "Then we pick ourselves up and try again," he said earnestly. "But we can't find out unless we take that first step." The crowd held its breath, the moment fragile yet electric. They were teetering on the edge of hope and doubt, and DeMarcus wondered, could this fragile binding of trust, excitement, and action withstand the tests of reality? Would they all still be there when the beauty of their garden didn't quite cover the weeds of the world? "Let's decide to take that step together," he finally said, diving deeper into the collective heart of the community that had begun to unfurl. As the conversation flowed on, questions ignited in DeMarcus's mind: would they really stay committed when things got tough? Or was he merely feeding them the promise of what could be? And with that questioning, simmering hope, he couldn't help but gaze toward the horizon where new challenges awaited, but so did the promise of growth and community. Would they blossom together, or would the weight of doubt choke their spirit before it had a chance to thrive? As the last hints of twilight faded, the group gathered their chairs and blankets, a shared energy lingering in the air. DeMarcus watched their farewells, the sounds of laughter still echoing in his ears. Each smile and wave felt like a promise. They were starting to believe. "See you next week, right?" Mia's excited voice cut through his thoughts, a little girl's enthusiasm tangible as she clutched a plastic watering can. Absolutely. He reassured, kneeling down to her level. You're going to be our head gardener, aren't you? She giggled, nodding vigorously. DeMarcus felt a flicker of hope ignite again. But as the crowd dispersed, the shadow of doubt still loomed large in his mind. He glanced at the young man from earlier, who lingered at the edge of the park, arms once more crossed, still grappling with his reservations. Hey, DeMarcus said, approaching him with cautious optimism. You still have concerns? Yeah, the young man admitted, his voice low but steady. You talk a good game, but what if it all falls apart? We're tired of being let down. I get it, DeMarcus replied, genuine empathy in his gaze. But I want you to know I'm not going anywhere. This isn't just some project for me. It's about us. It's about building something we can all be proud of. The young man's face softened slightly. That's easy to say now, but will you stick around when things get tough? It's always tough around here. DeMarcus took a deep breath, feeling the truth of those words resonating within him. I promise you, I'm in this for the long haul. I need your help. We all do. Without each other, we can't grow. For the first time, the young man's arms began to uncross. Okay, I'll give it a shot. But I'm watching you. That's fair, DeMarcus replied with a half-smile, grateful for the small step forward. As he left the park, the glow of the streetlights greeted him, illuminating his path. It was a symbol of hope light against the darkness of uncertainty. He thought of all the suggestions they had shared. The tomatoes, sunflowers, and carrots represented more than just plants, they were dreams taking root. But with the excitement came the awareness of the hurdles they would face. The local council had its doubts. Funding was a looming question mark. And without community support, the garden may never see fruition. Yet, something clicked within him, a sense of duty and passion that he couldn't ignore, as if the very soil of that garden was calling to him. As the days rolled on, DeMarcus found himself mapping out strategies, collecting resources, and reaching out to local businesses for donations. He felt the pressure rising. Each email he sent carried the weight of responsibility, the hopes of a community resting on his shoulders. On the day of their next meeting, he felt the familiar mix of excitement and apprehension swirl in his stomach. He parked his car, glancing out at the community center, where families were starting to assemble. But this time, he wasn't ready just to talk. He had something to share. He stepped inside, greeted by the sound of eager chatter. There was Mia, her joyful laugh ringing out like a bell. And then he spotted Lily, who had been gathering her neighborhood friends around her. He was struck again by the fire in her eyes, confidence mixed with cautious hope. Let's get started. DeMarcus called out, a nervous energy threading through his words. As he took a deep breath, he knew he was about to show them real commitment. He lifted a box from behind a curtain. Seeds. Today, we're not just talking anymore. We're planting seeds, both for the garden and for our commitment to each other. The murmurs quieted down, eyes widening with curiosity. DeMarcus could feel that shift, the subtle tension in the air thickening with expectation. What would happen when those seeds were sown? Would it be a patch of success or a tangled mass of failure? Just then, Mia piped up, how do we know they'll grow? A smile crept onto DeMarcus's face, a spark of determination igniting in his chest. It's all about faith, Mia. Just like us. As the room erupted with eager questions, DeMarcus found himself at the center of something bigger than himself. But as one question popped into his head, he wondered, was this really the right step, or just another leap into uncertainty in a world of unknowns? And with that question lingering, the seeds in his hands felt heavier than ever as he thought about what they might just bring. DeMarcus stood at the front of the room, the seeds trembling slightly in his hands. The chatter subdued, and a hush fell over the crowd, punctuated only by the shuffle of expectant bodies. Each gaze held warmth and hesitation, a blend of hope intertwined with the worry that had defined their lives. Deep down, he understood both sides. What if they sprout? Mia asked again, her eyes wide and innocent. It was a question that echoed in many hearts. They will, he responded, feeling a surge of confidence. With care and time, just like us, right? We'll nurture them, watch over them. That's what community is about. Everyone seemed to lean in, anticipation shining in their eyes. In that moment, DeMarcus felt something he hadn't realized he needed: trust. Though small, that flicker of companionship lit the path ahead, illuminating the doubts that had clouded his past. Okay, Lily chimed in, an unmistakable spark behind her enthusiasm. So, what's the plan? Are we really going to dig in and start planting? DeMarcus nodded vigorously. Yes. We'll need shovels, gloves, and lots of laughter. Together, we'll have a planting day. Everyone who wants to help can come. I want you all involved. A wave of excitement coursed through the room. Hands shot up as ideas began to flow, and voices began to blend into a chorus of purpose. They were no longer just participants in a community meeting, they were forming a team with a common goal. A flicker of hope ignited a fire, and before he knew it, DeMarcus found himself swept up in their energy. Who can bring supplies? A voice called out. I know someone at the hardware store. Another shouted. Let us make posters to invite more people. A third chimed in, clenching her fist with determination. DeMarcus watched as ideas bounced around, transforming into a tangible plan. This wasn't just about planting seeds anymore, it was about planting a culture of trust and engagement. But behind the exhilaration, the nagging doubt lingered. Would they really follow through? Just then, the young man from the previous week, the one who had questioned DeMarcus so skeptically, raised his hand. I'll bring my shovel. If this is really going to happen, I want to be a part of it. That was the moment everything changed. The room erupted into cheers, and DeMarcus felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. As the meeting wrapped up, one thought dominated his mind. What if this was more than just a garden? What if this was the start of something transformative for his community? After everyone had left, DeMarcus stayed behind to pack up. He gazed at the box of seeds and felt both the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. Yes, it was just dirt and sprouting plants, but it was also connection, a bridge stretching across fears, doubts, and struggles. With a deep breath, he packed up the seeds, feeling a sense of purpose swell within him. Yet as he stepped outside, feeling the cool night air against his skin, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were still standing on the edge of something incredible and terrifying all at once. As he walked to his car, his thoughts raced. What if they tried and failed? Could he bear to watch their dreams wilt? And just like that, another question surfaced, challenging the hope that had begun to bloom: would they all still be together when the first hardships came? Standing at the crossroads of ambition and reality, a single idea burned in his mind. Perhaps the true test wouldn't be in planting the seeds, but in whether they could all learn to grow together. As DeMarcus drove home, the night felt heavier with promise and uncertainty. Would they find strength in unity when faced with the storms ahead? Only time would tell. The sun rose reluctantly the next morning, spilling dim light over the neighborhood like a shy friend. DeMarcus woke up with hopes threading through his mind. He couldn't help but smile at the thought of the planting day ahead. Excitement sparked within him, a small fire that grew stronger as the day went on. He arrived at the community park, heart pounding with both eagerness and apprehension. As he parked, he witnessed splashes of color from garden tools sparkling in the sunlight. Children laughed in the distance, their raucous joy echoing across the grass. Would today be the day they found their rhythm? Could seeds of hope turn into something real? One by one, people began to arrive. Mia bounded over, her tiny hands wrapped around a bright yellow shovel. I can dig. She squealed, her conviction infectious. Others had come, their presence stirring a sense of unity in the air. There was Lily, bringing rolls of twine, and the skeptical young man who raised his hand at the meeting, armed with not just a shovel, but a determination that seemed to solidify overnight. With a strong push of energy, they began. DeMarcus took a step back to watch them all, this mosaic of laughter, grit, and camaraderie. He felt his chest swell with pride as they dug, their hands working the soil like artists crafting a masterpiece. It was more than planting, it was cultivating trust and connection, fertilizing the ground with their shared laughter and stories. But as the morning sun climbed higher, DeMarcus noticed that not everything was perfect. A few people struggled, their shovels hitting rock hidden below the soil. The laughter turned into grunts and muttered complaints. He could feel the tension rising, hear the hesitations creeping back in. Maybe we should try a different spot? One of the women suggested, frustration grazing her voice. Let us take a break, the young man said, glancing awkwardly around. There was a flicker of doubt in his eyes that DeMarcus recognized all too well. DeMarcus dusted off his hands, stepping forward with intent. Hey, let us not give up, he encouraged, his voice steady and clear. Remember, growth takes time and effort. Nothing worth having comes easily. We'll find a way through this together. When he looked at them, he saw more than just individuals who had come to help. He saw a community yearning to rise up alongside him. They needed a reminder that the struggles, like the rocks in the soil, were a part of the journey. Slowly, smiles returned. They decided to try new spots, work together to move the rocks, and even swap shovels for the lighter rakes. Before long, laughter echoed once more, weaving through the stillness of the park. With each seed planted, a little more confidence took root in them, too. But as they regrouped, DeMarcus couldn't shake the lingering thought from the meeting yesterday. What if they faced more than just stubborn rocks? What if real challenges arose, the kind that threatened everything they built? As the last seeds settled comfortably into their new homes, a storm cloud began to gather overhead, the first sign of life beyond the calm that morning. Lightning flickered in the distance, a reminder of what might come. Let us pack up. DeMarcus called out, urgency lacing his tone. They hurried to gather tools, glancing skyward. The atmosphere shifted, tension mingling with their earlier triumph. In that moment of uncertainty, an undeniable question simmered in DeMarcus's mind. Would this togetherness be strong enough to weather any storm life sent their way? As the wind picked up speed, he vowed to hold on tight to the connections being forged, hoping they could stand as a unit, even as dark clouds loomed above. Rain or shine, one thing was clear, today was just the beginning. As they rushed to shelter, he couldn't help but ponder the strength hidden beneath their budding community, if only it could grow as resilient as the seeds they had just planted. Would they have the heart to keep growing, or would the storm wash it all away? DeMarcus huddled under the awning of the community center, rain pattering like a heartbeat against the roof. The first drops had caught them off guard, but as the storm intensified, so did the camaraderie around him. Laughter spilled like rainwater as people shared umbrellas, huddled together, and continued to strategize in spite of the weather. Okay, so we won't let a little rain stop us, right? He said, his voice cutting through the sound of the downpour. How about we keep planning our garden indoor style? Smiles spread across faces, and in that moment, amid gusty winds and flowing rain, the community shifted. Ideas began to churn again, fostering hope like the seeds they just planted. Holed up together, they brainstormed different ways to keep the gardening spirit alive while the weather roared outside. We can create a community group online. Lily suggested, her voice rising with excitement. We can share our progress, tips, maybe even do virtual garden showcases. Love that. Mia exclaimed, beaming at her new friends. I want to show everyone my sunflowers when they bloom. The spirit of connectivity wrapped tighter around them, tethering their hearts together through laughter and shared dreams. DeMarcus smiled, watching his daughter light up the room with her excitement. But in the furrows of his brow, the question lingered: was this resilience enough to overcome greater challenges ahead? Hours later, as the storm passed and the sun peeked out, they gathered to survey their work, a newly planted patch of earth standing defiant against the chaos of the morning. The laughter mixed with triumph, igniting something deep within DeMarcus. "Look at all of this," he said, gesturing to their budding garden, which now sparkled with fresh droplets of rain. "This is just the beginning." As days turned into weeks, the online community blossomed into something unexpectedly beautiful. Neighbors who once barely acknowledged one another were now sharing stories of their seed sprouting, literal and metaphorical. DeMarcus felt a profound change. Barriers began to crumble as conversations flowed freely. Together, they were unearthing ideas that created a deeper sense of belonging. Then one evening, while DeMarcus was setting up for a weekly meeting, he heard a familiar voice break through the conversation. It was the young man who had once questioned him so skeptically. "I have something to say," he stood up, gathering everyone's attention. The crowd quieted as he continued, "I came today to help pick up trash around the park. I figured we should take care of the space we are going to grow in. But I also want to say thank you, DeMarcus. You've shown us something special." Warmth washed over DeMarcus. The man's sincerity transformed the air, lifting spirits higher. "I never thought I'd believe in a leader again. But you made it feel real. You made us believe." Others joined in, echoing support, and DeMarcus's heart swelled. In this moment, he saw the true fruits of their labor, their evolution together as a united community. "Thank you for your courage," DeMarcus said, his voice thick with emotion. "Creating trust takes time, but every day we chip away at those walls, don't we? Together, we can shape this community into a vibrant place we all cherish." That night, as everyone trickled home, DeMarcus lingered, reflecting on the journey so far. It hadn't been easy. Doubt and worry had emerged like storm clouds, but like the rain that nourished their garden, those challenges had forged connections, growth, and resilience. They were no longer just neighbors, they were family. Later that week, Mia pressed a makeshift flyer into his hands, her proud smile beaming. "Daddy, let us have a celebration like a festival. Everyone can bring their plants and we can see who has the biggest tomato." As he glanced at the colorful chaos of plants and seedlings around them, he chuckled, realizing they had become something beautiful, a community tied together through hope, dreams, and the willingness to stand side by side against the storms of life. The festival unfolded with laughter, food, and shared stories that night. Even the shadows of mistrust felt dimmer, lights flickering brighter against the backdrop of their unity. As DeMarcus embraced each and every face, warmth washed over his heart. Suddenly, he felt assured that the true victory lay not just in plants sprouting from rich soil, but in the strength of community, love, and resilience that they had built together. And with those thoughts blooming within him, he realized this was more than a garden, it was the foundation of a new beginning, a testament to the truth that together, they could weather any storm. As the sun dipped below the horizon, DeMarcus looked out over the laughter and connection spreading across the park, realizing that the beauty of change flourished far beyond roots and seeds, it thrived in their hearts. So here's where the story takes you, every single voice matters. Every single soul contributes to the tapestry of life. Stand up, take pride, and believe in what you can achieve together. This is the moment to embrace that spirit, this is the moment to support one another. Make sure to subscribe immediately to catch all the inspiring transformations and stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share in the love we've created and spread. Comment below about your thoughts and feelings regarding this journey, we want to hear from you. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming transformation. You need to subscribe now. True fans know the significance of coming together and supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait not even one more second to share. The time is now.